As you can probably tell by all the grapes, this is one of Greece's many vineyards. Wine was an essential part of Greek culture, and this tour will take you through how it was made. In addition to being delicious, not to mention lucrative, wine was an important part of Greek economy. I promise I'll meet you at the end of your visit, my friend. See you soon!
Winemaking dates back to the 4th or 3rd millennium BCE. It became widespread in Greece during the Bronze Age, and within centuries the Greeks had refined it further. The first step in the process was always harvesting, where grapes grown on rows of vines were collected by vineyard workers. According to Homer, harvesting was often accompanied by music to give it a more festive atmosphere. Ancient Greek wine mainly came in 3 different varieties: Osteros, Glucathion, and Autokratos. It could be flavored with spices, herbs, resin, and even perfume. It was also much stronger than modern wine, with an alcohol percentage of approximately 16%. Because of this, the drink was mixed with water to make it more palatable.
The god Dionysus was believed to have introduced wine to mortals. As a result, there were many celebrations and festivals dedicated to Dionysus, including Anthesteria, an Athenian festival that marked the broaching of new wine from the previous autumn. The Anthesteria took place over 3 days. The first day was called Pythoisia. As its name implied, it was dedicated to the opening of new jars and offering libations to Dionysus. The second day, Chos, included jovial events like drinking contests, but also a solemn ceremony where the wife of the Archon would be wedded to Dionysus. The third day was called Chaituri, in reference to the pots that contained the day's meals. The Anthesteria was mostly light-hearted, but it had a dark side as well. The Chos, in particular, was viewed as a day of ill omen, when ghosts from the underworld would appear to haunt the living. On this day, people allegedly chewed leaves of whitethorn and smeared tar on their doors to protect themselves from the wrath of the dead.
Grapes were dried to maximize the wine's sweetness and prevent it from turning into vinegar. In most vineyards, the drying process involved laying the grapes out on the ground under the heat of the sun, then covering them at night to protect them from accumulating dew. According to Hesiod's poem, Works and Days, the ideal time to dry grapes was 10 days and 10 nights. When they were finally completely dried, the grapes were collected in jars, just as they are today.
The Greeks used different types of grapes to produce different kinds of wine. According to Julius Pollux in his Onomasticon, there were 28 varieties of grapes, and they were often named after their place of origin or the method of their production. The Byblia variety of grapes produced a wine called the Byblinos. The Byblinos enjoyed a great reputation among the wine lovers, and even appears in Euripides' tragedy, during a scene set at a luxurious symposium. The dark-colored Promenio grape variety, meanwhile, was used for the Premnios wine, an appreciated black vintage produced in Elcharia and Smyrna. The Premnios wine was prestigious enough to have been drunk by the heroes of the Iliad. On the other end of the spectrum were the Scythias, or Scythia, white grapes from Ionia that produce a very sweet wine known today as Liastum.
The Greeks had many methods for crushing the harvested grapes. The most common technique was to use a lenos, a large treading vat where workers stomped on grapes with their feet. Alternatively, The Greeks sometimes crushed the grapes by hand using a strainer, mash them with a mortar and pestle, or squeeze them using a tool called a sack press.
Wine had many uses in Greek culture. The liquid was very important for symposia, communal drinking parties reserved exclusively for men. During a symposium, a grater, or mixing bowl, at the center of the room was used to mix water and wine together. Once diluted, it was shared amongst the party's guests, who drank it from individual cups. Wine played a part in the libations to the gods and the funerals. Furthermore, it could be mixed with certain aphrodisiac or hypnotic properties to induce feelings like arousal or sleepiness.
After the grapes were pressed, the resulting juice was poured into large containers called pithoi, where it fermented. Once fully fermented, the wine was filtered through an ethmos, or sack, which separated it from the residual yeast called lees. The wine was then placed in a special storage room. The room was half buried to keep it dry and maintain a consistent temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. These measures ensured the wine wouldn't lose any of its quality before being shipped to market.
Wine from Thassos was considered to be one of the highest quality Greek wines, and was consequently produced in large scale to be exported to foreign markets. The Hippocratic treatise on disease even listed Dacian wine among refreshing beverages that aided patients suffering from hot flashes. In Athens and the rest of Greece, Dacian wine was at the high end of the quality spectrum. Archaeological evidence of Dacian amphores has turned up in places like Athens, Amphipolis, Pella, Egypt, and other areas around the Black Sea. Many of these amphores were labeled with the name of the people involved with the production of the container, such as potters, workshop owners, or inspectors dedicated to ensuring the quality of the jars. These stamps also helped authenticate the origin of the wine.
Βλαξί. Μόνο τις βλάξες περίδι δούλους έχει.
When the wine was ready to ship, it was poured into storage containers called amphoras. These were smaller than pithoi, which made them easier to ship and display in crowded marketplaces. However, that doesn't mean transporting wine was always a safe endeavor. Sometimes ships carrying amphoras as cargo would be wrecked before making it to their destination, losing hundreds of bottles of wine to the sea.
Athens was home to many taverns and establishments. Managers were often mocked by Aristophanes, the comic poet. The taverns were called kapelion or taverna and sold wine, vinegar, and sometimes sweets and borsnags. After a wine amphora was opened, the liquid was poured into a grater or mixing bowl to decant. It could also be cooled by pouring it into a wine cooler called cichter first, then placing the cichter into a grater filled with cold water when it was ready to be served. The wine was transferred to jugs called inakowai and was drunk in individual cups like kilaix or kanathore. In Athens, taverns flourished in the southwest corner of the agora. According to the numerous amphoras, drinking cups, mixing bowls, and cookware that have been found in the area. Similar archaeological evidence has also been found in the southwest corner of Corinth's agora, suggesting there were taverns there as well.
Ισχυρός εντός. Πώς δυνατόν είναι σημείο οράνε ένα κύριο εντός της αποθήκης.
Ah, my friend, are you drunk with knowledge? I hope you enjoyed yourself learning about all the picking, stumping, and bottling that goes into making Greece's favorite beverage.